In this lecture, we're going to show the standard mates. With mate, we can position one part relative to another part. So for example, here we have a part 1, and this part 1 is fixed to the origin. Here we have a part 2 and part 3. And now we want to position part 2 and part 3 relative one to another. For that, we're going to use mates. So we can click here on the Assembly tab. Here we have a tool, Mate. For the standard mates here, we have coincident, parallel, perpendicular, tangent, concentric, distance, and angle. And here we have to choose our entities between which we want to apply those mates. For entities, we can choose points, vertex, edge, and faces. Anything that we want. So for example, the easiest way to do this is like this. We have this part 1, and this is fixed. And now we're going to define the position of the part 2 relative to part 1. So here on the part 2, we see that we have a cylinder here. And here we have a hole. So we want to put this cylinder into this hole. As well, here we have the second cylinder, this one. So we want to make coincident between this face here and this face here. So we're going to use two mates. So first we're going to apply concentric relation. So we can click here concentric, or we can just click here this hole. Now you can see the hole is designated. Let's click here in the hole. So we have here face 1. Now let's go here, and here we can choose this cylinder, this one, like this. And now we see that SOLIDWORKS automatically recognizes concentric relation. If we want to accept this, we can just click here OK, or we can just click here OK. Let's click OK. And now if you try to move this, you can't. You can just move this part up and down, as you can see, because we have concentric relation between this cylinder and this hole here. Now we're going to apply coincident relation between this face here. So let's choose this face, and we're going to choose this face here, like this. Now the SOLIDWORKS automatically recognizes coincident relation. If we want to accept this, we can click OK. If we don't want to accept this, for example, if we want to define the distance between those two faces, we can click here on the distance. And now here we have this distance. We can here put a number, for example. Let's go with 200 millimeters. And now here we have the distance between those two faces, 200 millimeters. We don't have coincident relation. So let's click OK now. We're going to accept this. So now you try to move this part. It's not possible. We can only rotate this part, as you see, like this. Now let's go here on the Feature Manager Design tree. And here we have a mate that we used so far. Let's click here. So here we have concentric relation, and we have a distance. We can also right click and we can delete this, or we can suppress this, and now we don't have concentric relation. If we want to get back to the concentric relation, we can right click and we can go with unsuppress, like this. As well, we can go right click, we can delete. Yes, now we don't have this. We can go back here again, and now concentric relation is here. If we want to edit, for example, some relation, we can go here to distance, right click, edit feature, and now instead of distance, we're going to choose coincident, like this. And let's click OK. Now we got this result. As well, let's go back to coincident, right click, let's go to edit feature. Here down we have mate alignment. So here we have aligned and we have anti-aligned. And now by default it's chosen anti-aligned. We can go with aligned, and now we got this result. Let's click OK. We still have coincident relation here, but this is not what we want. So we're going to choose anti-aligned, like this one. Let's click OK, and let's click OK here. So this is how you can use coincident, concentric, and distance. So now as you see, we used two relations, concentric and coincident. We could get the same result by using only one relation, only one coincident. So let's right click here, let's go suppress. And let's go here suppress. Now let's move this part up like this. Let's go to mate again. And now we're gonna choose this edge here, and we're gonna choose this edge here, and we're gonna define coincident relation. Let's click OK. Now let's try to move this part. You can't move it, you can only rotate. So we got absolutely the same result with only one mate as we had before two mates. So you always have to keep in mind that you have to use less as possible mates. And now let's look at this part here. We can rotate this part like this, and this is not what we want. We want to fix this part. So let's define now the parallel relation, for example, between this face here and this face here. So let's go to mate, and we can choose here parallel, or we can just simply click here and here like this. And now we see that SOLIDWORKS automatically recognize parallel relation. Here we also have perpendicular, so let's choose perpendicular. And now we got perpendicular relation between this face and this face. So depends what we want, but we want to go with parallel, so we're going to choose parallel, like this. Now let's click OK. And now we see that our part 2 is completely fixed to part 1. And now here we have a part 3 that we can freely move, like this. Now we want to put this part 3 right here in the center of this cylinder. So first we have to define the concentric relation. So let's go to mate. Now let's choose this cylinder. And now let's choose this face here, like this. And now we have here concentric relation. And let's click OK now, like this. And now as you can see, you can move this part, you can rotate and you can move this part, but it's always concentric to this cylinder. Let's go here to concentric to, right click, let's go to edit feature. Here you have option lock rotation. If you check this, let's click OK. Now if you try to move this and rotate, it's not possible because it's locked. And now we see that the icon is changed. Let's right click, let's go edit feature, and let's uncheck lock rotation. Like this. Let's click OK. So what do we want to do next? Now we want to position this part 3 right in the center of this cylinder. So there is a few ways how we can do this. We can define the distance between this face and this face here, but we will have to calculate what is that distance. The second way is that we use the plane, the middle plane of this part and the plane of the assembly or this cylinder. So we can go to mate. Let's open this tree here. So let's choose here, for example, front plane, and we can see that the front plane is right in the center of this assembly. So we can choose that this front plane will be coincident. Let's go to part 3. Let's open. Let's choose right plane of the part 3, like this, right plane. And now we defined that those two planes, the front plane of the assembly and the right plane of the part 3, are coincident. If you want to accept this, click yes and OK. And now if you try to move this, you can't. You can only rotate this part 3 like this. And the second thing that we want to do, we want to define an angle between this face and this face here. So let's go to mate again. And here we have an angle. Let's click here and let's define 60 degrees like this. So let's choose entities here. Let's choose this face and let's choose this face. Let's go down. So here we have a few options. We have a flip dimension, so we can uncheck this. And now we got this result like this. And also we can change alignment. We can go like this and like this. And this is what we want. Let's click OK. And now if you try to move part 3, you can't move. Part 3 is fixed. And now we define the relations between parts of the assembly. So those are the all standard mates that you can use. So let's recap. We have coincident, parallel, perpendicular, tangent, concentric, distance, and angle. And you can define this between edges, points, vertices, and faces.